Hill sprint. Okay, so nice view. Vibram 5 fingers for the win. Right. Some quick turbo thoughts. So first of all, some thoughts on photography if I get to a pork belly. So I think I might have been the first and only person to have theorized about this, where I do think that there is a link between what you eat, how you eat, what you drink, what you don't drink, and artistic and photographic productivity, and also artistry. So for example, whose opinion would you heed to more? Would you rather heed to the opinion of a skinny fat nerd who theorizes on the notions of cocoa masculinity, or would you rather put your faith in Thor, Thor Bjornsson, I think, who could deadlift 501 kilogram, besting Eddie Hall's deadlift record? But anyways, so the genesis of one's thoughts can only arise out of one's personal physiology, which means 안녕하세요. 네, 안녕하세요. Which means your body, your brain, life force, energy, whatever you want to call it, right, is self-contained within this 3D mesh of your head, your arms, your legs, body, whatever. The notion of some sort of super external soul is, to me, kind of a nonsense, I think, actually. And one of the very useful thoughts I got from studying philosophy and a little bit of my best friend Nietzsche is the notion of a mortal soul, that when you die, your soul also dies. And it's a pretty interesting thought, because what it then means is the soul, the notion of a soul, is pretty much just a manifestation of your ego, your personality, your life experiences, thoughts, health, whatever. And therefore, if you are in supreme great mood and health, certainly you'll create artwork, thoughts, photos, videos, paintings, pictures, poetry, whatever, that has a more uplifting and healthy nature, versus if you're like super sad and depressed and, you know, and then like an Edgar Allan Poe kind of type, then your poetry, whatever, it can only be like emo, like emotional, where people with poor health can only create artwork with poor health. And I think actually the tricky thing with art is that art, it's infectious, either in a good way or a bad way. So for example, I mean, Nietzsche says music is the tonic, which uplifts our spirits and our mood and our strength, which I probably agree with, because if you think about it, even the ancient Spartans used to pound the drums and wear red capes or clothing because it got their adrenaline, testosterone, whatever flowing, which kind of gave them the power, the strength, the chutzpah, the balls to go into battle, right? And so actually I think if you want to better improve your photography, it seems a wise thing to actually first focus on your mood and your health. So how does one do this? I mean, simple thoughts. You could come here to the mountainside, countryside, get some nice fresh mountain air and water, and use a chance to recover, eat lots of delicious pork belly, meat, samgyeopsal, whatever have you. And contrary to popular belief, I think you should bring your 5G phone, hopefully the cabin or the house or the whatever has gigabit super fast Wi-Fi, because I think I like this barbell of I call it like a digital Zen monk mode, right? Where you're surrounded by all this great nature, right? However, and you can leverage that to have more interesting thoughts, whatever. But also, on top of that, you could actually leverage the internet, right? So you could upload like 4K, 5K videos, 60 FPS, whatever have you. And then what it becomes is it becomes the undulation of spending some time in the city and some time in what I call like a non-city, because it's funny that Koreans call this the countryside, but I would actually call it the mountainside. And there are certain theories that being at a higher altitude or elevation, you know, there's less oxygen, and that actually forces your heart to beat harder, which actually ends up strengthening you. So I do believe that people who live in the mountain tend to be healthier, happier, and actually live longer versus people living in the flatlands. So also one thing I superficially like about being here in the mountains is places with elevation where you could actually climb up is actually really enjoyable. Like even the notion of Cokewood hiking, it just means vigorous walking. And so rather than hiking, I kind of like the notion of mountaineering where, you know, you're going up a mountain. And this irony is the joy of mountaineering or hiking, whatever, is not being on flat ground, but it's actually the joy of climbing up. And even if you think about like motorsports, right? One thing that people like to do is what they call a hill climb, where, you know, they have a Subaru WRX or STI or some other car, and the goal is to see how quickly they can sprint all the way up from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. And technically this is actually safer because